This is IBM Museum, and I went through today just because the studio has been a little bit cooler. Determined that I was going to go through and connect up the AS400 9406-170, that iSeries AS400 that I have, just to get the place a little bit warm and go through an IPL process. I did try and set up UPS. I've had that UPS inactive. I think I pulled it out of service because I need new batteries in it, and it shows I've got it plugged in. Like to get it with a full charge or not beep and complain about replacing the batteries. But I want to get the AS400 on that, of course, after I get that running. But just went through and I've plugged it into line, or I've had it actually plugged into line voltage, just sitting there idle with the 01 BN in the panel. Went through, shut it down correctly the last time, and I do have it connected into my 8275 switch. I realized with the moving around the studio today, I've got that switch facing that fancy panel facing the wrong way. When I go through later on and get stuff networked in particular looking at the 5494 and things like that, using that Ethernet channel, I'll go through and I'll have that visible, of course. But I just wanted to get it kind of moved out of the center of the bench. And I think this is a little bit better setup. And hopefully it won't create too much racket with it just sitting there and idling and heating the place, as it were. But tomorrow we'll kind of see in the live studio. It's gonna be in the live stream here at the studio tomorrow, and that's the regular time I have those, which is 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and tomorrow is Saturday, November the 27th, and if long as people aren't out there shopping, the so-called Black Friday, the leftover deals. I don't know what the retailers have just expanded to the whole weekend or whatever else. But we'll do an hour-long presentation, and that's effectively noon Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, my local time zone here. And that's GMT -7 if you're other parts of the world. But I look forward to having you tune in. And really, it's not necessarily on the AS400. We may have a few other little things I kind of want to run past what I run tonight. I've checked on some stuff before. It's just time to go through and get started with what I'm going to have on this video, of course, too. After I go through and did the announcement for that weekly live stream, I didn't have that scheduled set up that much in advance. Just went through and did it just a few moments ago, but hopefully the subscribers will get notified by that. Now, after I went through an IPL, then I did run through a little bit of this process of a month ago of checking on kind of the communications inventory and things like that, but I still wasn't aware of the OS 400 version I had running on this 9406-170. And it can go up to like version 5, release 3 or something like that. And I was aware that it was somewhere around version 4 or something, or maybe version 5. But wasn't sure of the specifics. And so the first thing that we're going to do on this video is to go through and to run the commands that we see up on the screen. The first one goes through and it well, let's go through and let's take a look at it. I'm going to get switched over to the console. I'm going through that nice 3489 unit. And I shouldn't have to go through and to hide my camera or anything else. And of course, you see the characters at the bottom of the screen once that banner goes away for my video capture device. But of course, you see that information at the bottom, but it's just a screensaver mode ultimately. So as we just press the space bar, we have it come up. So from we can go through and from the menuing type numbers. In this case, I'm going to just go through, and doesn't really matter for case sensitivity, but just going through and typing that command to go through and look at the licensed programs. And we want the number 10 here, so we'll from the menu item. So we want to display the installed licensed programs. We can hear a little bit of or I can hear a little bit of the hard drives going away on the unit there. And so in this screen, we're looking at, we want to display the release versions, and that's the F11 function key on the keyboard. Okay, and that goes through, and under that installed release column for our operating system /400, it's showing that version 4 release 5 M0. And that's fine. At least I know what version of the OS 400 is on this system now. And I do have those CD packs with newer stuff. I don't know. I may go through down the road and look at the viability of upgrading the OS if I have the media, although that's not a process that really is necessarily lightly considered. So I'm just going to do the F3 twice to get back to the full menu. And the next command that I want to run through, as it shows on the screen here behind me, is that it's a way to go through, and it's on a site that I need to actually look over quite a bit more. And I went through some of the TCP stuff, and there's a chance that maybe tomorrow I'll choose to kind of go through that as well. But it is it's an easy400.net, and they go through and lay out a lot of detail how to go through and work with the AS400 level that I have. And I've already gone through, of course, and I've signed on. I've come to the main menu, and they talk about it in that item number 3, inner command, and that's what I've got shown on the display in the back. And it gives a listing. In fact, let me go through and interact a little bit with this screen just to kind of scroll up a little bit, because there's a particular detail that I want to go through in just a moment. We're just going to look at basically just running that one command. I'm not going to go deeper down, and it actually goes through the steps of creating a all the interface characteristics for that Ethernet interface, and saying an IP address and things like that. And that's just something for the future. I just want to show kind of a listing of the communications resources on this system. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to type that command. Okay, and then we do a space. We have to give it a parameter of what we're looking for. And I guess that's just the abbreviation for common. And then we go through and press and it's like work hardware resource, and then that common description. So on the screen there, we have it shows the LAN adapter and the Ethernet port. That type is real critical. It's got that 2838 number there, and the AS400 boards, of course, it's a 4-digit or 4-character reference to what those boards are. And as we can see below that box, and it kind of gives an example there, and it's got the same 2838 Ethernet port and LAN. Well, not the LAN adapter's different. I guess it does that for both the to kind of show the. I don't know how they created their example. Maybe might even be a typo. They're just trying to show what's going on there. Because a 2723, as we can see identified on that information, is a 10 megabit per second Ethernet board. And the 2838 is the 10/100 megabit Ethernet. So as we have in kind of the inventory here, it effectively shows that that I've got that 10/100 megabit per second board. So we're all good, and that's what I went through on my 8275 Ethernet switch. Of course, I went through and I plugged into the 10/100 port. And of course, that's the older style. It's got the MIDI and the MIDI X, and I went for the MIDI. I'm using straight through cables. I'm not using crossover cables or anything like that. And so we learned a little bit of information of what Ethernet boards in the AS400. And normally those have a label on them as well. If you look at the back of the unit, you can get the identification for that. Of course, this is really just tucked in there, enough space for the exhaust fan to blow out the back, but not really easy for me to move that big unit around and be able to look at the back of it. Normally, you'd have the cover on the back and things like that and going through. So this is just an easy way to do it in software. So if you thought that this video was helpful, a little bit informative of learning as well about the AS400, click on that like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Recommend it to your friends that are interested in this sort of content so they can subscribe too. But that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.